Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for this student panel. My name is Or Tzabari, and I am a fourth-year material science and engineering student. During this panel, you will hear different students from around campus who will share their perspective on students' life in times of lockdown and social distancing. You might notice we are holding papers. It is not because we do not know what we are going to say, it is because we are a little excited and do not want to forget anything. The first student to be presented is Linoy Nagar Shaul. Linoy is the chairman of the student union, aka ASAT. She is a fourth-year material science and engineering student and has been a member of the student union since her first year. Linoy not only helped Technion students, she is also a captain in the IDF reserves and serves as a company commander. Linoy, can you tell us about the actions that were taken in cooperation with the Technion this past semester to help students in these difficult times of going into lockdown and online studies?
Yes, of course. As you might know, the young generation was financially affected since the pandemic became part of our lives. Students and their family members lost their jobs, and besides the academic challenge, we are worried about money. Together with the Technion administration and with the generous help of all of our friends all over the world, emergency funds were made available to students, on top of the aid scholarships provided every year. The Student Union helps students in many ways. We provide students with computers, help students in isolation, and of course fulfill our main challenge, representing students with academic issues. In collaboration with Rambam Hospital, the Ministry of Health, and the Technion Innovation Center, the T-Hub, we initiated the hackathon program in order to come up with technological solutions to health and social problems. Once it was permitted by the government, it was very important to us to restore the sport activities around campus. With the help of all the relevant student offices, we were able to open sports courses for students to complete their academic duties. It has been challenging, but we have learned a lot and will continue to grow.
Thank you, Linoy, for everything you are doing for the students. The next student is Mendel Ben Shmuel, who is a first-year student in the Andrew and Erna Viterbi Faculty of Electrical Engineering. Coming from an ultra-Orthodox family, he has a very interesting life story. He is a hard-working student who overcame many challenges. Mendel, can you tell us about the challenges you went through becoming a Technion student?
Sure, of course. I would love to. I grew up in an ultra-Orthodox family who lives by Hasidics and Chabad values. As a young man, I studied at several yeshivas in Israel and New York. After finishing my studies at the Central Yeshiva of Chabad in Brooklyn, I returned to the yeshiva in Tzfat. This is when I started asking myself who I am, what sort of things I like, and what I want to do. I discovered an attraction to physics and mathematics, and I realized I was quite good at it. The head of the yeshiva and I were very close, so I talked to him, and he offered me a position as a teacher for Gemara. I took a few days to think about it, and as you can see, I have chosen to leave the yeshiva and to follow my dream. I arrived at the Technion without any basic background that will allow me to start my academic studies. All I had was just my suitcase and no help or support. Gladly, the pre-university center of the Technion helped me, and I received all of kinds of support, mental, academic, and financial. I'm proud to say that when I finished there, I got into the Andrew and Erna Viterbi Faculty of Electrical Engineering.
Mendel, on top of that, we know you were diagnosed positive for corona at the beginning of the semester. Can you share your feelings about the time you were sick and how you were assisted by the Technion?
Yes. I just got back from a visit to the US and had to be quarantined. As I am not in touch with my family, Hillel organization connected me to a lovely Technion graduate couple that opened their home and their hearts for me. In the following days, I felt a bit ill, and after consulting the authorities, it was decided I should be tested for corona. Once I received the results, and after consulting the Ministry of Health, it was decided I should be hospitalized at Hillel Yafe Hospital. I was committed in isolated apartment for 12 days. During that time, I felt much love from everyone. The couple who hosted me at their home, Dean of Students, the Beatrice Weston Unit for the Advancement of Students, the Student Union, many of my friends and loved ones. When I was released, after losing a lot of time from the semester, I was glad to have some exam relief, in addition to being allowed to postpone all my exams. I want to thank the Technion and the Student Union for all the help I received along the way, and for the amazing opportunity to follow my dream.
Thank you, Mendel, for sharing your story. I hope everything is behind you and you are feeling well. The next panel member is Ido Biran, a third-year industrial engineering and management student and the vice chairman of the Student Union. Ido oversees the more operative and technical areas of the union, such as campus-related issues. He works in collaboration with campus security, safety, and the dorms office in order to make students' life much more comfortable and fun. He is making sure that the students can enjoy vigorous campus life and can focus on studying hard. Ido, would you like to tell us about the Student Union actions around campus during the COVID-19 lockdown?
Sure. So, hello everyone. I would like to share with you the work that ASAT has done during the last few months to make the students' lives easier during the lockdown period that began in March. I will divide it into 4 fields, but first of all, I have to thank Zeava Liniado. So the first field is learning support. Early on, we realized it was going to be a rough semester, especially academically. We made sure to adapt our services to an online version, 8 courses via Zoom, homework support in small groups, etc. Furthermore, we offered discounts to students with financial needs and for special sectors such as students who were called to reserve duty and students whose children were home due to the lockdown. We made sure that any student needing help who wanted to sign up for our services would have the opportunity to do so. The second one is technical. We provide technical support for operating the Zoom system. During the semester and the exam period, the union aided with the transition to online exams and helped in launching a program for loaning equipment. We lent web cameras, laptops, PC docks, and even cell phones. The third field is campus and welfare. The work focused mainly on students in isolation that lived in the dorms. Most of the attention went to those whose families are abroad and are alone in Israel. The office helped them by providing moral support, basic groceries, and even microwaves and other electricity products. Here as well, we were greatly supported by the Emergency Corona Fund. The last one, the fourth one, is the culture culture field. We had to find ways to cheer up the students during this challenging and bizarre period, and to keep in touch with them, reminding them there is a world outside that consists not only of lectures and academic requirements. We created many activities such as board game tournaments, pajama parties via Zoom, online lectures on how to deal well with stress and financial problems. We posted funny memes and even assembled a wonderful playlist for relaxation and study. Those activities helped us remaining and keeping in touch with each other and with the students.
Thank you very much, Ido. We also have here with us tonight Shai Freilich, a PhD student at the Faculty of Biotechnology and Food Engineering, and the graduate students chairman at ASAT. Shai will tell us how the situation affected the graduate students.
Thank you all. In the last 6 months, coronavirus has turned our world upside down. Things like facial masks, isolation and quarantine, working in capsules and social distancing have become a part of our new lifestyle. On a bright morning this March, we found ourselves on lockdown. The education system, along with all kindergartens, were closed. All public transport was stopped, and the Technion closed its gate for all but necessary workers. During this period, we focused on 2 aspects: allowing students to maintain an ordinary life and trying to minimize the pandemic's effect and impact on the students' research. We worked in full collaboration with the Technion graduate school to make sure that all students will continue receiving their scholarships, as this serves as their main and sometimes only income. We worked with the Technion dormitory office to assist and help the students and their families who are residing in the Technion dormitories. After the first wave, it was clear that the research of most students was slowed down and considerably affected. Alongside with the Technion Graduate School and the Senior Executive Vice President, we made possible studies and scholarship extensions based on the PI's funding. This will allow most students to cover the gap created by the virus in the research and complete a full study.
Thank you, Shai. Tomer Rabinov, a 4th-year mechanical engineering student, is the social office manager at the student union. He dedicates a lot of his time for social activities and projects to empower the students and the Technion community. Tomer, you and your office coordinators have planned and executed many welfare activities during the period of social distancing. You did it with the help of students who volunteered to help fellow students and people in need. Can you tell us about a few of these activities?
Sure. Hi everyone. When we heard the government announcement of the lockdown period, we knew we had to use our strength as a student union to help however we could. We saw the Technion students' drive and willingness to volunteer, so we set up a framework in which they can volunteer safely and maximize the impact of our volunteering work. We published a post on social media calling the students to sign up for an ASAT volunteering initiative, and at the same time contacted the non-profit organizations and the municipalities that work with the people that need our help the most. In a few days, 200 students signed up, and we built a weekly volunteering schedule we sent to the students. We mainly helped the at-risk populations. The students volunteered in packaging and distributing the food and delivery of medicine for the elderly. We also helped by connecting 50 Holocaust survivors to students who received weekly calls from them and helped them ease the loneliness that came during the lockdown period. Some students even went the extra mile and escorted the elderly to hospital treatments. Me and Eliad, my volunteering coordinator, helped by running the logistics of the volunteering initiative and providing hands-on help whenever we could. Another volunteering initiative was the donation of computers from the Melech project to kids from low-income families, so they can study online and won't be affected by a lack of a computer at home. We worked with welfare offices around Haifa to find the families which needed our help the most. Technion students helped with the refurbishment of computers, delivery and setting up the computers at the family's home. During the lockdown period, 150 families received computers and more will be delivered in the immediate future. This initiative came to a halt, unfortunately, as I was called to reserve duty at the Home Front Command, where my wife serves as an officer. With all the difficulties regarding gatherings during the lockdown period, my office made sure to note the Holocaust Remembrance Day, and we held 3 online salons in English, French, and Hebrew languages. We also held an online ceremony honoring Israel's fallen soldier, where we told their stories and sang songs in their memory.
Thank you, Tomer, and all your office for inspiring and helping the community. Last but not least is Arbel Tamari, a 5th-year medical student at the Ruth and Bruce Rappaport Faculty of Medicine. Together with fellow students, she initiated a project to help doctors and medical teams stay protected at times of low supply of protection equipment. COVID-19 is a big challenge for the Israeli health system. We heard about medical students who volunteer in hospitals and other facilities. Can you tell us about the Technion medical students' contribution from your perspective?
Hi everyone. So my friends and I, 5th-year medical students, soon to be doctors, we're all looking for any way we can contribute when the COVID pandemic broke out. Many of my friends volunteered in hospitals as doctor's assistants. Some of them volunteered in Magen David Adom for taking COVID tests, and even some of them volunteered in babysitting and cooking for doctors' families so they can rest and focus better. My project was a bit different. It was named Mask for Docs, and it was for manufacturing face shields for health providers in hospitals and clinics. This face shield, as you can see, is made of 2 parts. A 3D printed part combined with a transparent sheet you can buy at any store. This face shield was manufactured by over 100 volunteers all over Israel using a home-grade 3D printed. My role in this project was to find the demands and make sure these face shields arrive as fast as possible to where they're needed most. I was very proud that I had the opportunity to lead this project and to know that the medical teams were better protected thanks to us. Over one night, we had the demand of over 15,000 units, and eventually, in the first wave, we delivered over 40,000 units all over Israel. It was very fulfilling for me to know that I could contribute, especially when my personal life was affected in this pandemic. My fiance and I, who's also a Technion student, were supposed to get married in April. Of course, that didn't happen because of the lockdown. And I was still glad that, thanks to my friends and I, our medical teams were better protected.
Thank you, Arbel. You are truly an inspiration to all of us. We will now move to the Q&A session. I have a few questions that came up during the panel. So I think that the first question I will take because it's a question that I care about. So I'm going to read it and then I'm going to answer it. So the question is, do you see room for improvement within the practice of online classes to make it a more interactive and fulfilling experience? And there's another section to the question. Finally, is there room for some percentage of remote online classes to continue even after the COVID-19 crisis? So I think it's a good question, and I'm going to say that from what I heard from my friends, the opinions are divided about the online classes. Some students love it and enjoy it because they see it as a way of responsibility, so they can manage their time throughout the whole day, and they can really focus on what they want to focus, and they still succeed in studying. For me, it's been challenging. For me in private, it's been challenging. It was very hard. What do I think? I think that there is some room for keeping the online classes. I think it will be inevitable in the next semester to keep them because we're going to stay at a pandemic situation. And I hope that some of the classes will remain because they are important. And I want to give the next question to Linoy. Linoy, how did the corona situation affected on your social life?
I can tell you that I learned how to hang out with my loved one without even meeting them. We even celebrate Passover on Zoom. We cook together and learn together. It was difficult but necessary.
Thank you. I have another question here regarding the graduate students. Shai, what are your concerns as a PhD student regarding your research of the
Okay, so thank you all for the question. That's actually a very good question. As a PhD student or as a graduate student, your main concern is your research. Your research is your whole study. And when we found ourselves on lockdown this March, your research was brought to an halt, to a stop for 2 or more months. That's a gap you need to cover. Some researchers had experiments running for 2 or 3 months in advance and were stopped completely. So that's our main concern as graduate students, filling the gap made in our research. That's our main concern.
Thank you. Mendel, I will give you this question. I think you can answer it. What are your thoughts on next year, considering the coronavirus is here to stay?
Actually, it's an excellent question. If we start here in this year, so as you can see, all the situation it's not clear. So to combine all the studies with the job, because my situation it's not so easily. So I had to renew myself every day, and I like to be optimistic. And next year, my plan is to continue study and also to contribute a little bit to the student union, and also to find some job that I could combine with the studies, and that's all.
Sounds great. Thank you. I think we will take the last question. I'll give it to you, Arbel. It's a medical concern. What is it like to be a medical student during these times?
So actually, on the first lockdown we had, there was no option to continue our studies because it's based mainly of being inside hospitals. But our faculty made an effort to film as much lectures as possible. So we were partially able to study our basic knowledge at home. And now when we return to the hospitals, we have time to focus on our clinical experiences during our time there. Thank you all for your question.
Thank you, Arbel.